Hello, Internet. It's time for another Wednesday serial. Not on Wednesday. Heck yeah! And I want to talk about Birds of Prey number 10, because I think I have a few things to say that I haven't heard anyone mention yet. So for those not in the know, Birds of Prey issue 10 is the conclusion of the Death of Oracle storyline, entitled The Gristle and the Ghostly. Gail Simone and then Kaya Midera, I probably said that horribly wrong and I'm sorry, is leading the art. And this is part 4 of this story arc, and it went a little differently. The first thing that we see, and something I have to say, overall the art's alright, but you can see just from this facial feature here, it works because she's angry there, but it continues throughout the comic in a number of different ways. And if you can see Mammoth here and Black Cat on there, and most of the art's pretty close, but something about the facial features, everything seems kind of spread out and not proportioned to the way it would look normally, and it just kind of throws me out a little bit when I look carefully. A lot of the facial features just look more like caricatures than characters. And it's close, but it's just that little bit of detail that's like that next level that's just, and it's just so close, but that doesn't even feel like a stylization thing. That just feels like a anatomy, not basics, but higher level thing that just kind of isn't there. Anywho, the story goes, and we start off with something cool where the Birds of Prey were in the situation where most of them are all in a line, guns pointed at them. They're in the whole hostage situation. Black Canary had been taken out for a little while ago. Last issue, she overcame her bit where someone was forcing her to deal with all her inner demons. She just pulled out, but she's a ways away, and she's en route. So when she shows up and kicks some ass, it's not Deus Ex Machina, it's earned. And then we have an awesome part with Huntress where she's talking down to Calculator and her goons, and she makes a show of force, proves that the Calculator is a brain, but really isn't a good leader for Enforce and causes a little bit of dissension among the ranks, which helps them out. Which was a cool character moment. One of the things that makes Gail Simone a great writer, makes her action bits cool, because there's something more to it, usually, and that's usually what I like. However, after that, for me, this comic starts to fall apart. What we see is after that, the Birds of Prey just start kicking ass, and that's cool and all, but it just goes on for page after page and just feels like people getting punched in the face, which it's fine, but usually there's more going on. That's part of the reason that I'm turning to this and not just lame Superman comic, is that there's usually a little bit more. Then when Black Canary comes in, there's an exchange between the Huntress and one of the other birds, and it's, what the hell is she doing there exactly, do you suppose? Oh, that's right, you haven't seen this yet. She's doing this JLA style, and I don't understand. All the birds have seen Black Canary kick ass before, but not JLA style. That just, I don't understand what that means. When someone fights, they fight, and yeah, there's different things that can factor in, totally, but what? And what also threw me out is this whole thing is the death of Oracle, and the big reveal is, spoiler, turn it off if you care, which you don't. And so what happens is a helicopter was taken out last issue, RPG style, and we find out in a single frame flashback that Hawk was in the helicopter, and he just jumps out and lives because he can do that. And Oracle was remote controlling it from a distance, and that was this whole big thing. And then you find out that the death of Oracle is actually something else. But I mean, for that to just kind of be the big reveal, I mean, it wasn't so much that it was that, but the fact that they're in the middle of a fight sequence, then it's just this off-frame, like, panel that's just like, bam, bam, and that's it. And you're like, what? That's it? Like, they just, if it was presented later as something else when they're wrapping up or whatever, but it's literally mid-battle, it completely breaks the flow and it's thrown in. It's just felt sloppy. And then the big reveal is that Oracle is not even stopping, but reeling back her intelligence operations to where she feels she's more effective operating essentially with the Bat family. and then she's just going to not be there for every other superhero, except instead of saying anything to them, she purposely cuts off to help portray the idea that she's dead to give her some anonymity, because people are starting to get a little too close to figuring out who she was, I guess. That part kind of makes sense, but then the way it's delivered is like, okay, so she's just part of the Bat family. Why them? Why not different operatives? Like, the fact that she cut off from, like, say, the Manhunter, which is one they make a big point to, doesn't make sense as to the fact that Manhunter tends to not communicate with many people and is pretty rogue and tends to need some different angles because she's doing more of a legal thing and is usually more complex, and it just seems odd to me that she's helping out Batman, the person who probably needs the extra intelligence the absolute least. It just feels like they're retconning for the sake of retconning and justifying it, and it just feels tacked on. It doesn't feel logical in any way. Then this comic redeems itself with a cool little character moment in the back, 2 pages with Catwoman talking to Huntress and Black Canary, kind of the oldest birds, as it were, and just kind of interesting to see how she reacts to this whole thing and her figuring out that Oracle is in fact alive and she was just dealing with it because she was curious, and that worked for me. And just pointing out that these, you know, heroes, more or less goody two-shoes, can't lie too well, worked pretty well for me. Now, I will say, I have loved Birds of Prey for a long, long time, and just seeing this one issue not come to fruition the way I had hoped, or on the level that I had hoped, is okay, so it didn't come off as strong. But what's sad about this is the first issue in about 50 issues of Birds of Prey that I've read that had the chance to have the biggest impact on the DCU, one that people would turn to actually try to get a better idea of continuity going on, because it actually does impact a lot of books and actually is a big pivotal moment in DC. And the fact that it kind of falls short, and the fact that they wouldn't put a top-notch artist on this book this time, and instead kind of let this one just kind of slip out and kind of slide by without being the top-notch bit that it would normally be, is bad for 2 reasons. First of all, I mean, this is a chance for this book to just pick up sales and pick up interest, because a lot of people are going to try this issue probably more than any other. That may be reflected completely wrong in the sales as they come out, but my logic indicates that people would want to try out this book because it does have a lot of relevance to the Bat family and some implications of the rest of the DCU, as I've said. And also, I mean, just beyond the reader's point, I mean, if you're trying to make sales and you're trying to get people to be picking up more books and whatnot, when they're going to be trying out for that reason, then you need to make it the top-notch thing, because then they're inclined to want to stay and keep reading, which means they have to buy the next issue. You get the idea. And so the fact that this one just fell short, I mean, it's not even so much that it isn't the best issue, and, you know, I'm willing to let that slide. And all in all, I mean, it's not even a bad comic when it's said and done. It's just not the best thing that was in my pile since the last Gail Simone comic, which just blew my mind. It was an okay comic, but for all the ones to just fall a little short on, that just kills me. So here's Upward and Onward to Better Things. I'm definitely going to be keeping on this book because, as I said, it's been excellent through and through, and this one's just wasn't as good as some of the rest, but still marks above a lot of other stuff. And, you know, not every comic's excellent every freaking time. When you look at how many Birds of Prey issues Gail Simone's written, it's actually still a hell of a track record, and more than I think any other creator has kept up that level of quality in any book for a long time. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Bendis. One good side for me on this is that I now know that I'm able to even read a Gail Simone comic objectively, and any long-time viewer can tell you that it's pretty much gone without saying when there's a Simone comic, I was going to be all over it, but I think just kind of seeing stuff, I mean, for what it is, just proves that, I mean, all those other ones that I like and love as much as I do is because they are that good, and when one of them just doesn't measure up, it just doesn't, and that's fine. I mean, again, still good, but not amazing and like you must rush out and get it now, like pretty much every Secret Six is, and the way most of Birds of Prey has been up to now, and certainly not like her Deadpool Agent X run, which is a lot of great stuff. Also, Killer Princess is her great little indie that she did, and it's pretty endearing and fun to read too. So just kind of putting that out there as, you know, reviewer cred. So yeah, that's it for this one. I'm going to be going to C2E2 this weekend, so if you see me, grab me, shout at me, whatever, I guess. Yeah. I should also be at the Kansas City Con the weekend after that, assuming cars don't break down. And then I will be at Denver Comic Fest, but if you can grab me, that'll be impressive, because I'll be busier than pretty much anyone there. So, hope to see you guys at one of those at least. Drop me a line, it would be cool to chat it up. And I'll see you later. Peace, love, and a pint.